Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. We are coming to you live. I'm actually here in the sunny California area. We're doing some work in private cellular and private 5G. And for those folks that don't know, my name is Deborah Simpier. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Hawk Networks, which is the company behind Althea, and working on that intersection of fintech being a payment layer for all machine-to-machine transactions in utilities and infrastructure, and primarily in telecom, which is of course why we're doing cellular stuff here. And I'm joined today with my guest Celina from Cosmostation, who's going to share with us a lot of the really exciting work they've been doing in the crypto marketplace. You're a fellow OG from forever, as well as us. And then talking a little bit about interfaces, right? You're interested in Althea, you're interested in blockchain, and so we want to talk a little bit about Althea.link, which is Althea's front end page for the iFi DEX and interacting with Althea blockchain, and then Mintscan, which is Cosmostation's block explorer, Block Explorer and beyond, right? It does a ton of different things, and I'm really excited to kind of dig into all of that good stuff. But before we get into that, and then actually, audience, too, feel free to add questions here in the chat or in Discord, and we'll answer those for you as we go along. But Celina, if you want to introduce yourself and tell us about Cosmostation, that would be great.
Of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Celina from the business team at Cosmostation. Just want to thank the Althea team for having us today. We've been working together for quite some time. For those of you who might not be familiar with Cosmostation, we're actually an institutional grade infrastructure provider. Been running nodes since 2018, so it's been around 8 years. We've been managing over $1 to $2 billion, depending on the market situation, of course. And we're working with more than 60 to 70 protocols at the moment, including Cosmos, Ethereum, Sui ecosystems. I'm happy to work with Althea as well. And we're actually recognized as one of the top and staking providers in the space. We actually ranked number 2, I believe, among the validators within the Cosmos ecosystem, just after the Coinbase custody. So yeah, we actually are proud to say that we've never had a single slashing incident for the past 8 years. So we're quite reliable, and I'm sure Althea is happy about that too. So yeah, that's basically a short intro on Cosmostation.
Yeah, a lot of respect for the work that you all have been doing and you say that, you haven't had a single slashing incident. This is year over year. I mean, it's been, gosh, it must have been since like 2019. When did you get started?
Yeah, it was 2018-ish, yes. I mean, I joined quite recently, but a lot of respect for our developers.
Yeah, really, the Cosmostation really is an OG in the space and has been around, especially the Cosmos ecosystem. It's exciting to see y'all kind of branching out. One of the other things that's very neat is that there is both EVM and Cosmos together in the Mintscan interface, where you could really get a lot of information. As for folks that maybe don't know, Althea is a Cosmos SDK hybrid EVM, very similar to a lot of the blockchains you're seeing now. Kind of got popular with Evmos and Canto, and then we saw Barachain and Story, and I think, isn't DYDX also hybrid EVM? Yeah. So, obviously you get the reliability and kind of configurability of the block explorer space, or the block space, excuse me. Which is really important for utilities with the Cosmos and Tendermint consensus. And then you have the EVM, which is, of course, everyone's familiar with. It's easy to interoperate use. So I think we're going to see, some kind of what become the de facto for sovereign chains, right? Chains that want to have their own L1, of course, which is what Althea's journey started on Gnosis chain, back being the same kind of thing, and built and grew. And now that we're scaling, of course, that's when we really need your own sovereign infrastructure, purpose built for the telecom and utility space, hence Althea L1. And if you're curious about Althea L1, this is where and you want to kind of take a look at the interface as it is now, Althea.link. And even more so now, you can also participate in our testnet that's happening right now, specifically for the on-chain IFI DEX. So it's a lot of acronyms. IFI, just like DeFi is decentralized finance, IFI is infrastructure finance. So it really kind of combines how we, tokenize telecom infrastructure and so forth. So you can go to test.althea.link, or if you'd like to participate, join us in our Discord. Our amazing community moderators like Mario or Will can help you get started on that journey, and the IFI summer journey, as we are calling it. So maybe you missed DeFi summer, but it is now time for IFI summer. So feel free to join us. We'd love to have you. So Celina, tell us a little bit about kind of like Mintscan, and Althea is a proof of stake Cosmos SDK, so people are going to be staking and securing the chain economically, and also having a chance to vote. So how do they choose validators? How should they think about it? What can they find on Mintscan? Maybe you can kind of take us through a little, one-on-one on that.
Sure thing. So Mintscan, as Deborah introduced, is our flagship product. It's used by the majority of the Cosmos ecosystem. So you'll find the majority of the chains on the Cosmos ecosystem there. We have around 300K MAU on average. So a lot of people are using it for sure. And I must say the UI is actually very simple. If you just go on Mintscan, you won't really find it hard to navigate.
There's a lot of red at the moment, so
that is quite unfortunate. But yes, I mean we gotta hope for the best, right?
Right, exactly. This is just temporary. We'll wipe away the tear and
temporary. We're all hoping for that green light at some point. But yeah, it's kind of like CMC in the Explorer version, I should say. So you can explore all the block details. If you want to explore the proposals out there, you can do that as well. If you want to monitor any validator performance,
I like this feature. Yeah.
You can definitely just click on any of the validators on the list and check out for yourself. You can check your staking rewards by connecting your wallet, and that's also very simple. And yeah, Mintscan is really your go-to explorer when it comes to these features. If you have Althea tokens, just connect to your wallet and on Mintscan and explore staking opportunities there as well.
Yeah, so you'll find everything from there's a lot of data that y'all collect as well too that I think is really interesting. So you can go to the assets, obviously take a look at TVL. Right now Althea doesn't have any TVL. The token, the blockchain itself is locked, unlocked according to the governance vote. But as we bring these tokenized telecom assets on chain, and we start having volume there, you'll see the medium of exchange is USDC, right? Or something like USDS.
Right.
So the stable coins moving around, you'll see that in the assets tab, right? And that's also where you can kind of take a look at the TVL of the chain. Also, when you look up your own account, it'll show you all the different. So Althea token stakers earn the pro rata portion of those microtransactional fees. So if we were talking originally about how these machines, are paying each other for, in telecom for bandwidth, as in a multi-hop way, these little microtransactions. Well, as they move, let's say 30 cents, then there's going to be an additional 3-cent fee. And that 3 cent, it's roughly around 10%. So that 3% fee then gets remitted in USDC to those token stakers. So you'll take a look in your Mintscan, you'll take a look at your address, and you'll be able to see, USDC, USDS, or USDS, or whatever other assets that you have. And then you can see in general just kind of the assets under the assets tab. So I think that's pretty neat. So it's a great way to kind of really think about, taking a look what's happening on the chain. You can also see accounts, which is also an interesting way. Even when I'm looking at the different Cosmos chains, I thought that was always really interesting. You can see that. and and everything from kind of verifying the chain parameters to relayers. Of course, no relayers now, but Althea is going to bring over the same approach to relayers that Gravity Bridge has, which is like an open free market of relayers, and that's actually worked extremely well. So turns out even if you have an economic incentive, no matter even if it's relatively modest, you can code a bot for it. And Gravity's always had a pretty reliable relayer ecosystem, just because it's whoever can get it and make a profit with it.
Amazing.
So that's worked out pretty well. I know, because that's one of those things that I think IBCs struggle with in general when they've just really kind of done an altruistic model. It hasn't.
Very altruistic, I should say.
Right. Which, I mean, that's kind of the interesting thing too. We've seen some of the economic models in Cosmos, I mean, Gravity Bridge included, some not the high inflation, be somewhat unsustainable, right? And have that play out. So I think that's also kind of an interesting thing about Althea with the fee-based revenue. This is really a focus on sustainability and revenue, and different operators being able to come and participate in the model and be paid in revenue. But it really shifts your focus from the hype kind of train that we see in kind of meme coins to let's do business, let's add value, let's bring revenue in. And I think it's kept Althea really on that very focused and practical timeline.
Right. I personally have a lot of respect for builders on the Cosmos ecosystem, and like chains like yourself. It really is all about sovereignty, and I might be able to say it's a very humanitarian chain as well, because it might not always lead to profit because of all the hyper connectivity that Cosmos ecosystem offers. So I think the use case is actually very important for Cosmos chains, and I think Althea is doing a great job in that. It has an actual real world use case with internet connectivity and telecom industry. I think that's amazing. Just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, 100%, right? And I think just in blockchain, it kind of mirrors blockchain in general, right? It's been, but you are really seeing, I think, now this disaggregation of the blockchain ecosystem as a whole, and these projects that are finding real traction, solving real problems. And in telecom, I mean, the problems are, no one says, I love my telecom. Right?
I've never heard anyone saying that.
Exactly. It's right up there with actually dentists have a higher net promoter score. Like we think about dentists with higher satisfaction than we think about our internet service provider.
That's hilarious. But you're right. Yeah.
So, right. So this is an obvious problem that needed fixed. And really it comes down to making the numbers work and, aligning how we, do the payment layer and capitalize and fund networks. And, when those were in misalignment, it's not like, Comcast or, Verizon or Claro or any of these other ISPs are evil. It's just the systems were like fundamentally broken. And that's, really what's so exciting about blockchain and what we've done with Althea is really aligning, giving users back the choice that allows, we got more people on the system. But yeah, with Althea, users have a choice of like cost or performance. So like on a minute by minute basis, you can move this slider bar around on your account and you can say, I want to prefer cost or I want to prefer performance. And then it routes through the internet network based on your choice and then pays programmatically. So providers have an incentive to provide better service and provide more service to you rather than now. I mean, it's like, buying a subscription of bananas, they're going to give you the worst bananas, right?
Right.
So,
totally.
But yeah, and I think one of the things I'm really glad to talk with you about is like up until now, though, this has primarily been a B2B system, right? We work with telecoms, we work with utilities, and it really has, a lot of blockchain people have been really excited. They want to get involved. There really hasn't been a way. But now we have Althea.link, right? You can go participate in the IFI DEX. Machines can also participate in the IFI DEX, meaning, they could get paid in a variety of tokens and then programmatically swap. You could imagine a electric charging token, right? Let's say EV token, right? EV token then swaps to the Althea token, or it swaps to USDC programmatically on the IFI DEX. And this now gives people a new ways to use these tools to build solution sets, to create new tokens, to swap. And then, of course, if you're just excited about the project, you can go to IFI DEX at althea.link and get involved, and then use the Mintscan interface to really manage. And I think you mentioned too the validator interface. How do you choose validators? There's a lot of really great stats there there on the Mintscan interface to think about. I was just going to go take a look at everything we have on there's uptime, consensus. It's interesting too, because you highlight in red too when the uptime isn't very good on the validators as well.
It's all about the data visualization, right?
Yeah. Well, to your point, it's really easy on the Mintscan to just really see and visualize everything, and the UX is pretty easy to use. And then what do you normally put in the ecosystem tab? I think it's just like different apps and things like that you can access.
Yes. You can access different apps there. And I'm trying to tap on one of these data visualizations tab. Have you checked out a heartbeat tab before?
No, I haven't.
It's a real-time chain monitoring tab called Heartbeat.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah. So if you go on that, you can see all these colorful transaction data, I guess. You got to check it out if you haven't already.
I'm gonna check it out. And then I also love that you all put like on the front tab the dev activities, right? So you can see where like what's happening. It kind of gives you a little bit of that. Oh, okay, this is where they're putting the dev time in. This is what's coming. For us, it's Althea L1 and the IFI DEX and the Althea L1 docs, right? So obviously you can tell we're working on the IFI DEX.
Yes, obviously.
Right, exactly. But it gives you that little bit of like, oh yeah, this is what's coming, right? This is what's getting worked on right now, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that it's all in one place, and of course, all the Cosmos-based ecosystem chains are there to take a look at, which is easy, makes it easy. And like you said, many of the validators are the same, so you can kind of get used to seeing the different ones on the different chains and so forth.
Right. It's really your go-to place if you want to explore the whole Cosmos ecosystem in general.
Now, I'm curious too. Like, what do you think the future holds for like Cosmos interchain ecosystem? So just sort of the whole. We're seeing a lot of hybrid EVM. Do you have any thoughts about how that's going to evolve?
I think the whole direction towards that is very positive, in my opinion. I think it is time for us to pivot and make the whole ecosystem more, attractive to everyone, including developers, users, the app builders, and everything. So, yeah. Honestly, I always had some. I was quite sad that Cosmos ecosystem didn't really have much traction, as much as it has so many functions, and there's so much to offer as a chain and the ecosystem. So hopefully, starting this year and on, there would be more.
Well, Althea's here, so
we have some hype. We're going to create new hype together.
Yeah,
as the ecosystem as a whole. That would be quite amazing. I'm looking forward to that actually, and someday I think it's gonna happen at some point.
Yeah, but I think you hit the nail on the head. It really is like if you're not really driving the use cases, where's that new revenue coming from? Everybody says, well, liquidity split, we can't split the liquidity. That's really not the real crux of the issue. Is the issue is bringing in users and customers and revenue, right? Then that's making that liquidity, right? You don't want to, and so I think, for a long time we've been kind of focused on the wrong goal of like, let's make sure my chain has the liquidity, or we don't split it between this chain and that chain. When really the real thing is the driving the value and the use cases that bring that revenue and that volume on chain for a real reason, right? Because then you're bringing customers and they're using the product, and that's kind of the thing about Althea is like we don't have to search around for our killer app. We have the killer app, we're bringing it now to scale on the L1, and I think that's going to be really powerful. But we are seeing other cases like that. Of course, Sentinel and their DVPN's one that's been around for a very long time doing VPN stuff. There's, I think, Soar Chain is also doing some kind of RWA. So I think there's, we're starting to see that now. And then, of course, then there's the interoperability that everybody's just going to bridge between each other.
Right. I was just thinking, so since the telecom industry is so centralized pretty much everywhere, I believe, in most countries, including South Korea where we're based, and just like the States, we have these conglomerates like SK, KT, LG. These telecom companies pretty much dominate the whole market. And I was just wondering if you have any plans to expand into the Asian market in the future.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. We've primarily been, most of our team is U.S., but we are. I think there's a real opportunity in two ways in the telecom industry in Asia, and actually we're really kind of looking at Indonesia right now.
Okay.
But a couple of inflection points have happened, and one is like some exciting work we're going to be doing this summer with roaming, with the SIMs basically roaming between your private networks that you can build the architecture and the public ones. So that seamless handoff was a big inflection point, and so there's some really exciting news that we're going to be sharing later this summer. But the other thing was spectrum, right? So one of the big announcements that we made earlier this year was Hawk Networks partnered with Globalstar to offer private spectrum in band 53. But it's not just been our Globalstar. We've been working with a lot of the larger telcos to open up spectrum to this build, because that was the last kind of thing. In order to build in the cellular space, you have to have licensed spectrum. And to your point, they're utilities. And so what ends up happening is you do either get big monopolies or they're very embedded with the government. And so creating then architectures that are more open is challenging.
I see.
But there's, like I said, these inflection points where your device, whether it's a car, whether it's your phone, can now roam between these networks that we and other people build, and the public carriers. So it doesn't matter if you're home and you're in your own network or you're roaming, and then this licensed spectrum. And I think we'll see some major advancements at that. So I think those two big unlocks really then allow us to go into places that, especially I think South Korea is pretty centralized in how they think about it. But it's better there than in a lot of places, I would probably say. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think your telecoms work really well? I mean, how does it work for you?
I mean, I would say they work really well in terms of performance.
Yeah, that's fair.
They're conglomerates. Yeah. You got to expect some good performance, right? But in terms of cost for the average user, I think it's very high. I think I'm paying like around over $100.
Wow.
A month, yeah.
So we're seeing this in the U.S. too. The monopolies are getting bigger, and that's what happens. It drives costs up, right? And then it leaves a lot of people out. I mean, actually, 1 in 4 Americans don't have access to the internet, and it's crazy.
It is
25%. Yeah,
we have a right to connect. So
yeah.
It's yeah. It's a very basic concept, but a lot of people don't have the access to it. So
Yeah.
but yeah. So just to briefly touch upon the Korean market, because I want Althea to maybe expand into the Korean market in the future.
Yes. Yes.
It's a pretty dynamic crypto hub, I should say. I think
Well, the sovereignty piece, right? I think that's, I mean, even if you have performance that works well, what's happening with the privacy, right? Are you in control of your data? Are you choosing, cost and performance and all of that? Like, that's what I think is so exciting is not only is it, democratizing access,
right,
and the wallet is actually embedded in the hardware device, so that that's on your phone or your car or your home router or whatever that is. You have that financial sovereignty too. So, and then you can do all kinds of fun stuff with the crypto that's in your wallet.
right. I think that availability of different options, like you just mentioned, I think that's what we really need. We as customers and users, we don't have many options when it comes to that. So thank you for all the work, Deborah.
Likewise, it's a team effort, right?
Yeah.
Well, Celina, I know you have to wrap up at the half hour. Did you do you want to let everyone know where they can learn more about Cosmostation, find out information about y'all's wallet and all of that? Maybe just give us a little bit of
Sure.
information about that.
Sure thing. So, thank you so much for joining the call today, everyone. If you want to check out more information on Cosmostation, just go on Mintscan.io or get on Twitter and find our account, Cosmostation account. And we're running a Medium blog as well, so you can always
Nice.
read more about our partners and what we do. And yeah, it was very exciting to chat with you, Deborah, today. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much for being here, and thanks for being part of the ecosystem and community and making it a better place for everyone. And look forward to continuing the work together.
Likewise, likewise. I guess we'll continue to work hard for the green light on Mintscan.
Exactly. Next time we'll have to talk here in a few months, and it'll be awesome.
Mhm.
And in
Let's
the
do that.
meantime, if folks are interested in kind of kicking the tires and looking under the hood at the iFi docs, test.althea.link, and then reach out to us on Discord, and we'll get you started on the test net. So, thanks everyone. Thanks, Celina. I appreciate that, and we'll see everyone next week.
Awesome. Thank you, Deborah. Bye, everyone.